For some reason, 2025 definitely seems like the year everybody has locked in and set these massive goals for themselves. I literally feel like my whole For You page is just filled with girls being productive and laying out the non-negotiables they have for every single day, and honestly, it's so freaking overwhelming. But also, I think it's really, really freaking cool at the same time that people are setting their goals and they're working towards them and they're doing the things that they said they're gonna do. Like, how freaking cool is that? But just because everybody else is working towards this best version of themselves, and this is how 2025 is looking for a lot of other people, doesn't mean that that lifestyle is going to work for you, and actually doesn't mean that that is productive for you. For the last few years, I've tried to be that girl. I've tried to set myself a super strict morning routine and wake up earlier and earlier every single day.
My eyelid is literally glued to itself.
But it turns out having so much rigid structure and routine in my life, and also aiming for a certain bedtime to go to sleep and waking up at a certain time every day, was just causing me so much anxiety and worrying me if I was going off plan.
Oh my god. I was just being attacked by seagulls. I've hidden my sandwich in my coat. They were all chasing me. I was so scared. I was screaming and throwing my hands in the air, and there was literally like 50 people around. Everyone was looking at me.
So yes, routine and planning and structure might be so beneficial and productive for some people, but for me, it's super unproductive. So next time you hear someone explaining how great it is when they wake up at 5 a.m. and hit 10,000 steps and hit a workout first thing in the morning, they journal every day, they read for 30 minutes every day, like, please remember that that's amazing that that works for them and that feels good for them, but it's also completely okay that that doesn't work for you. We're humans, we're not expected to all be the same. We're allowed to have differences and we're allowed to figure out what works well for us, and we don't all have to follow the same lives. So hi, I'm Brooke and I'm a recovering overachiever, and I'm learning to live life for what it is rather than how much I can get done in one day or how good I can be at something.
Yummy!
Looks so yummy. It's nearly 9:30 in the evening. I've just spent an hour doing the cleaning up from dinner and only 2 of us ate, and I've done no longer than 20 minutes of work today. I don't know how it happens, but it just does. And I have black tint all over my eyes, so that's great. I'm not allowed to touch my lashes. So what do I actually think an overachiever is? Someone that tends to set extremely high standards for themselves, yet never feel satisfied with their accomplishments. Even when they do great things, they always strive to do more whilst rarely feeling any sense of reward for their work.
It's 12 p.m. and I'm still in bed.
And that's how I felt, which had a lot of downsides for me. I'd ignore my personal needs and put work first. Like when I was feeling exhausted, I wouldn't allow myself to have a lie-in. I'd base my worth on my productivity, like how much I got done in the day meant how good I felt about myself. I'd pretty much be exhausted 24/7. I'd feel an immense amount of guilt when I'd relax, and I'd literally never want anyone to see me relax. I was like so embarrassed. Even though deep down I knew what I needed was to relax, and I know that no one would judge me for it. I found it hard to be present. I doubt myself a lot. It was like no amount of tasks I could complete would be enough. And 2 of the things that really started to take over my life was that I would constantly feel like I was in a rush, and every day when I would wake up, I'd be so worried about the day ahead. And you may be wondering how I got here. I mean, for starters, my dad is a literal workaholic, working 16 to 17 hours a day.
I've just been sound asleep for half an hour on my phone. My phone has now died, so that is my sign to get up. When I get back from being out or back from the gym, I just need to sit and just do nothing in silence. 3, 2, 1. We did it.
And he'd always want me to be the best in my class at school. He literally nailed into me that it's good to wake up earlier, to do as much as I can, to work harder, to push until I physically couldn't anymore, basically. I was never like a naturally smart kid, so in order for me to do well in exams, I had to really go for it. I'd wake up hours before school just so I could revise in the morning, and then I'd miss my breaks and lunchtimes going to revision sessions with teachers. And whilst I know that if we want to achieve a goal, we're probably going to have to outwork a lot of people, but what I probably didn't realise as a child, that it's 1, toxic for me to do that with everything in my life every day, and 2, I would most likely burn out from it eventually. But looking back, I guess I felt like I basically just lived to impress my dad and make him proud. Like, my worst nightmare was to disappoint him. But honestly, I really don't blame him. Like, it's not his fault that he's been brought up with a mindset like that, and he thought that's right, that's what works for him, and he thought that would work for me too. So naturally, being an overachiever just became my normal. But over the years, it being my normal actually had such a bad effect effect on my life. I'd often cut time short with friends and family just so I could complete work tasks. And because I felt so overwhelmed all the time, I never made the time to make plans with people or make time for messaging or phoning people, which in turn just made me worry about my relationships with everyone so much. Like I thought I was the worst sister, the worst daughter, the worst friend. And I had very little me time. I don't think we need to force ourselves to have hobbies. Like it's so okay to not have a hobby. But I guess I've never been able to give myself the time to actually figure out if I do have a hobby, like what I enjoy and what makes me feel good.
I tried to start editing about 30 minutes ago and I just keep procrastinating. So I thought I'd come to my desk because maybe that will make me more productive. I don't know.
But having me time felt super unproductive, even though it absolutely is not. Being an overachiever meant that I would make an extensive to-do list every single night right before I'd go to sleep, which would not only leave me feeling super stressed whilst I'd be falling asleep thinking about all the tasks I have to do tomorrow, but I'd also feel super unfulfilled about the day that I just had because I realised all the things that I actually didn't achieve that I need to do tomorrow. Because I would have such a strict morning routine and I'd set my alarm at a certain time every day, when it would get later and later at night before I'd go to sleep, I'd literally spiral with my anxiety because I was so worried about getting less than 8 hours of sleep. So honestly, that was such a horrible thing for me to have to experience every day. And that might sound dramatic, but I have been an anxious sleeper all my life, so I am super proud of the progress that I'm making with it now. I mean, I literally slept with my mum and dad until I was like 14 years old, and I didn't go to a sleepover until I was about 16. So I guess I thought the way that I could get around this is if I went to bed at 10:30 every night and woke up at 7 a.m. every morning, then at least I'd know I'd get in my 8 hours of sleep. But actually, this was just making me go even more crazy. I was living in a constant state of overwhelm, so when something didn't go the way that I hoped or something went off plan, I got super frustrated. And when it would come to the end of the day, I would feel like such a failure because I wouldn't have ticked everything off instead of just having compassion for myself. So since going through this, I guess I've realised what's actually important in this world. And for me, I think that's that we are actually allowed just to simply exist. It might be hard to believe, but we actually don't have to constantly be chasing a better version of ourselves. When you actually think about it, we're called human beings, not human doings. So why don't we just be? And it's actually so draining living a life where we're constantly focusing on what could be better instead of focusing on what's going well and what actually makes us feel good. And don't get me wrong, I do think that work is still important and I do think it's good to be productive in a work aspect, but it would be such a shame to miss out on quality time with friends and family because we were super worried about ticking off a work task. And I don't just mean saying yes to the quality time with friends and family and then when you're actually there feeling really stressed and overwhelmed because you wish you actually just did the work stuff. How great would it be to genuinely just enjoy the time you're spending with your loved ones? And trust me when I say that having me time truly is the best thing ever. I feel so much more like myself when I stop chasing the best version of myself and I just start listening to what I truly want.
I have to take a penguin in there.
Advice to you is that your only oxygen.
That was a really, really sad film. I was literally sobbing the whole time.
It's more important to me to make fun memories to look back on and experience cool things than to tick something off a list. It's more important to me to genuinely feel good, like genuinely feel good. It's more important to me to allow the time to do little thoughtful gestures for Benny and make him feel special. It's important to me to spend the time to make meaningful, helpful content, not something that I'm just forcing out because I feel like I need to get more done. It's important to me to be able to try new things. So here's what I'm doing to help, because yeah, this would all be great, but how are we actually getting there? I'm trying my best to stop comparing my life to other people's lives and realizing that our day-to-day lives all look different. It might not be productive for someone to have a lie-in and chill in bed in the morning, but for me, it actually is quite productive. My goal for this year is to basically chill for 70% of it. I've not been setting myself any alarms to wake up to or a time in mind that I want to go to sleep or wake up at. I'll never be somebody that will be okay with staying up all night and going to sleep early hours of the morning, but I'm becoming okay with the idea that actually being an early morning riser probably isn't for me. I've been watching so many YouTube videos, so many series, so many films, and I honestly am loving it so much. And it's really nice to have that chill time with Benny too. Going off plan would be such a stressful experience for me. It would completely throw me off if someone would randomly call me in the middle of the day and I was not expecting it. And whilst I'm definitely not perfect with it, it is really nice to have that bit of wiggle room if spontaneous chats come up throughout the day. I've always found it so incredibly hard to do work on the train, so instead of forcing myself through this and then just feeling really guilty that I didn't get everything that I wanted to get done, I now give myself absolute full permission to just chill.
Just a 3-kilometer run. I was feeling so anxious before, but the outdoors just makes everything better. Wow. Look at the blue skies. Oh, wow.
I've been doing a whole lot more of what I used to say was unproductive stuff. I've had a lot less routine and structure and just been slowing down and feeling grateful. I've been trying my best to realise that things don't have to be perfect.
Oh my god. Okay. Sit down. Sit down. I can do that easily. I think I'm jumping off.
Sit down.
I'm not very good at letting go in situations where I'm feeling worked up, but when I remind myself what I'm grateful for in those moments, it does help calm me down a bit. It's so great sharing this journey with you guys, and I hope that if anybody is in a similar boat to me, that this can help you join the journey with me.
Yummy.
Remember, your worth isn't dependent on how many tasks you can complete and how productive you are, but how you make people feel and the memories that you create and the life that you live.